Zia Cooke averaged or combined for 38 TIF in that game.
When you look at the report card, Steffi, just breaking it all down, we talked about those phases of the game. Transition offense, they can get out and flat out run and beat you with Destiny Henderson at that point guard position. As we tip things off and ready to go here from Colonial Life Arena, as the South Carolina Gamecocks with a 24-game SEC regular season win streak. They're looking to extend that here this afternoon as Jasmine Walker tries to put it up off the mark. As you look at this South Carolina starting five, you just pick them apart and there is just no weakness there. Strong from 1 through 5, as Aaliyah Boston is one of those players that you want to keep your eye on. But Zia Cooke, who has the ball in her hands, she's pacing the way for the Gamecocks with 16 a game. This is an Alabama group who has a veteran core in the starting lineup, including Jordan Lewis and Jasmine Walker to go along with Araya Copeland. That's kind of the big three for Bama. Lewis, who had a career-high performance against the Gamecocks in that January 4 meeting with 28 points and 16 points in that first meeting for Jasmine Walker. She gets the first 2 of this ball game.
Yeah, Jasmine Walker has been looking like a pro, especially in league play. She's so versatile at 6'3". She can score anywhere on the floor, and this is a good sign for South Carolina on the other end for her to get going offensively. She had a few games, 3, where she kind of struggled, didn't get into double-digit scoring, but she's found her rhythm now, which makes South Carolina even more dangerous.
Zia Cooke, the 5'9" sophomore, coming up with the steal is Destiny Henderson, and a foul against Megan Abrams. So you talk about just Jasmine Walker and then what she's been able to do. She's really leaned out her body. She looks pro-ready. And this is a wonderful test and opportunity for this Alabama ball club to really kind of get things going. 5-2 in conference play, 5-3 rather in conference play. I mean, this is a chance for them to get a signature win this season. Christy Curry feels like they are ripe and ready, and they have to embrace this challenge.
Absolutely, and they don't have any bad losses on the season, so I think that this is a year that Alabama gets into the NCAA tournament, and they haven't done that since 1999. So you take a look at a player like Jasmine Walker, Jordan Lewis. These players wanted to do something special here. She leads the break. So good at drawing contact and finishing. We talked a lot about South Carolina's transition, but Jordan Lewis, a player who thrives in the open court, surely the heart and soul of this Alabama team, a leader on and off the court, but certainly paces the Crimson Tide offensively. And this is a huge opportunity for them. They have nothing to lose. South Carolina, everybody's looking at them as the number 1 seed, the number 1 targets on their back. Also, just a terrific opportunity for the Crimson Tide to come on the road and perform well after a disappointing game against Kentucky.
Aaliyah Boston having her way. The offensive glass has been just a home for the Gamecocks, an area where they've thrived. But to your point, this is an opportunity for Alabama to do something unique and special here. Is nice pass in from Lewis to Araya Copeland. Running the floor, getting opportunities, and that was just an easy bucket there for Victoria Saxton.
I love Victoria Saxton's game. Think about it, the past few seasons she's behind Kiki Herbert-Harrigan, now in the WNBA, but she's just so tough and steady. She doesn't need all the bright lights and all the fancy, you name it. She just goes to work. But look how quickly South Carolina turns even on an Alabama make. You cannot blink. It takes 3 to 4 seconds. They're up the court and they're looking to score.
Already a 10-6 ball game here with 6:48 to go in this first period. Lewis was fouled. We talked about just how much she means to this program. A young lady who has been outstanding in SEC play for Bama, averaging 20 points a game.
And the thing that impresses me the most, Tiff, about her is the fact that, she only averages around 11 shot attempts. She doesn't take a lot of shots, but she's really efficient from the floor, but she gets to the free throw line.
One of the best free throw shooters in the conference. Megan Abrams, the lefty, letting it fly from 3, and already a big lead to open up for Alabama.
This is the perfect sign if you're Christy Curry, because you've got other players involved outside of Walker and Lewis. That was a game plan coming in to get Copeland involved. You got to get Megan Abrams some touches, and they're defending.
They've got their springs in their legs, rather, as Alabama right now just kind of having their way on the offensive end, coming up empty on that possession, and you just see the pace
check this out.
in which Destiny Henderson rolls with the basketball. Oh my, goes downhill, zoom.
I have watched so many plays like that, and I have a little stopwatch, and we're talking 3 to 4 seconds, and she's not doing a sprint. She has the ball, and she's getting into the lane and finishing. It's just unbelievable to watch.
Jordan Lewis knocking down the 3, and already Jordan Lewis is perfect from the floor. 9 points so far early on for the redshirt senior out of Orlando. See, good ball movement. Saxton trying to have her way once again. And you talked about liking the game of Victaria Saxton. Well, she doesn't need all the acclaim. She doesn't need all the shine. She does her work and just has such a great upside, according to Coach Staley.
Yeah, and I don't think this South Carolina team would be the same if Saxton needed that praise. She needed all those accolades because there's so many other players that are drawing that. And so she just kind of, like I said, she's a silent assassin. She goes in there, she does her work. She's put in her time and playing great for Dawn Staley. But back and forth so far, Alabama 16, South Carolina 10. A lot of offense, fast pace. The players are here. They're ready. They're shining. Tiff, I like what I've seen so far. 3-point line. Buries it, Jordan Lewis.
In a moment of silence to honor basketball coaching legend, John Chaney. Thank you.
Forward to Dawn Staley. Taking a moment of silence before today's game in honor of John Chaney, who died at the age of 89 earlier this week, the Temple head coach who was synonymous with success in that Philadelphia area. And you think about the two who spent time at Temple during 2000 to 2006. But more importantly, Dawn Staley just talked about the relationship that they had, Steffi, and just what he meant to her. I mean, she sought him out for advice when she wanted to get into coaching, and she knew that she could lean on him.
And you think about Coach Chaney's, approach as us against the world, just the way that he coached and got his players ready. And you watch Dawn Staley and how she's evolved and shaped this program to be kind of like that, the same us against everybody else. You've seen her build that culture, and you're looking at a program now in South Carolina that has 4 30-win seasons in the last 6 years. The ability to sustain success over that time has just been remarkable, and the people that she's had in her life, including Coach Chaney, that have helped shape and mold and her style as a coach. And obviously she's been able to get the most out of them too.
Trying to win back-to-back SEC titles as Henderson is able to come out of the timeout and knock down a triple. Destiny Henderson, who had 20 points, a game high for Henderson against the Crimson Tide last time out. Henderson pushing it back up the court. Again, they love to push tempo, the pace, and when you have such a speedy point guard like Henderson, it's easy to do so, but something that, quite honestly, South Carolina has had to kind of adjust to a little bit.
Destiny Henderson has just been so remarkable at the point guard position and evolving into a point guard who's, sat behind Ty Harris, but had kind of a blended role in previous years where she was kind of a shooting guard. She'd come in and play point guard, but now stepping into the front runner role of playing point guard for Dawn Staley, which is an adjustment in itself, knowing that she has to be, the commander of the ship and run the offense and get everybody involved. But she's a scorer as well. And, we talked to Dawn Staley about Destiny Henderson and how she elevates them, especially in transition. But she's not looking to be Ty Harris. She's looking to be Destiny Henderson. And it shapes them and it gives them a little bit of an edge at that point guard position because she's such an elite scorer.
When you look up and down that starting five. Go ahead.
Sorry, Tiff. Just want to make a point here with Araya Copeland, Alabama's center. When she goes to the bench, Alabama has to play small. They don't have a deep bench. So if you're looking at South Carolina, you've got to go inside to Boston, to Saxton, because there's no one really that's going to be able to match up with them inside the paint.
Well, Boston picked up her first 2 points at the free throw line, and then a collision underneath the basket between Destiny Littleton and Jordan Lewis. Lewis whistled for the foul. Destiny Littleton coming off the bench, started her career at Texas and now is suited up for the Gamecocks. Coming up next, our afternoon of women's basketball continues from College Station. Let's get it going. A top 25 matchup, Texas A&M hosting Georgia on the SEC network right here and also on the ESPN app. Talk about the great defenses around the league. We're witnessing the best in conference play in South Carolina, but Georgia also equally as outstanding, holding opponents to just 58 points a game.
Alabama's done a really nice job of dribble penetrating, getting right into the logo, into the paint, and creating some foul situations there on Bree Beal. Earlier you mentioned, I think, on Aaliyah Boston. But that's what you have to do against a team like South Carolina and to play into Alabama's strength of getting to the free throw line. They're number one in the SEC in free throw percentage. So they get to the line, they make free throws, but it also opens up then the three-point line for a player like Jasmine Walker to knock down threes.
19-17 advantage for the road team, Alabama, in which Christy Curry says her group plays a little bit better on the road. Inside to Saxton. Saxton lined up against Ali Craig Cruz. And another opportunity here for South Carolina. Cross-court pass, Littleton over to Boston. Henderson wide open. Great look for the trifecta. Henderson, the junior out of Fort Myers, Florida, already with a quick 6 points. First lead of the ball game for South Carolina. Back the other way. Lewis can't answer. Bodies converging on the ball. South Carolina comes up with it. The look ahead to Saxton and one. Instead, I got a little too excited there, partner.
You got excited there, partner. Hannah Barber stepped in. Dawn Staley not happy with it, but 5'6", the junior Hannah Barber rotating over. That's a tough call because I think she's inside the
restricted area there. And you see on the bench for Alabama, Destiny Rice, the sophomore, grimacing in pain. So Myra Gordon, the freshman, in on the floor for Alabama. You talk about a player like Hannah Barber, who has done a great job in the offseason to just prepare herself, get herself ready for this 2021 campaign. And she gets 2 on the board.
Yeah, we've talked, throughout this season, we've seen players coming into an uncertain season, but very certain with what they did over the summer. And Hannah Barber is a player that really took into consideration, her nutrition, strength and conditioning, hydration. Those are all really key things to really elevate yourself as a player, get yourself in shape. And she really wanted to do something about it. She didn't feel like she was an SEC type player. And you have to give her props because she really committed to it in the offseason. Love the little black eye. She's a tough, scrappy kid that can come in here and give you really good quality minutes and do a little bit of everything for Alabama. Alabama going to look to have at least 1 foot in the paint. They're really going to try and clog the paint when they have to play small.
Littleton, a little show and go inside, and that's easy. You got to try to keep them outside of the paint from dribble penetration if possible, Steffi.
Well, that's the thing with Alabama showing that matchup zone is to try and clog the paint, but at the same time, how quickly South Carolina can beat you off the bounce and find the gaps.
Boston corralling the rebound. Ooh. Nice pass up ahead. Great vision. And there to finish it off is Lily Grissett. Grissett, the lone senior on this South Carolina squad, brings a nice level of energy when she comes in off the bench. Lewis Short finds her own rebound and then falls to the floor. It's a whistle underneath the basket.
We talked about Alabama really wanting to keep 1 foot in the paint. So you'll see on this ball reversal and then the skip pass, Jasmine Walker right in the paint guarding Saxton, and that leaves Destiny Henderson open for the 3. So it's by design, by scheme. South Carolina's not a team that takes a lot of threes, but they're efficient when they do. So that's kind of the gamble that you have to roll with if you're going to protect the paint, but getting out quicker on rotation to contest that 3. But that's kind of what Christy Curry was talking about, is defending them as well. If we're out on the perimeter, then we're giving up offensive rebounds. So that is the challenge of guarding a team like South Carolina.
Time winding down here in the first, and Henderson gets to the bucket really quickly. Destiny Henderson, again, just a speedster to the basket. 26-21, South Carolina with the lead. Abrams trying to work around, kicks it over to Barber. Barber off the mark, trying to hold for the last shot, put it up, and Henderson can't get it to fall. But South Carolina looked strong in that first quarter. They said, let's pick up some energy, let's pick up some intensity, and oh yeah, let Destiny Henderson take off motorsport in Columbia. Appreciate it so much. And back here in Columbia, Destiny Henderson, who is really has the controls of this South Carolina program. When you look at her within that starting 5 amongst all the skilled and talented players that they have, Henderson is one that also just jumps out when you watch her on TV.
In talking to Dawn Staley yesterday, I said, who was your most improved player? Which is kind of a tough call because everyone really has improved, but she said it's got to be Destiny Henderson and what she's been able to do. Last year she averaged around 23 minutes. This year she's averaging over 32. Every statistical category for her has improved, but she accounts for over 45% of South Carolina's fast break points, and you see that speed that she plays with, and it just makes this team totally different. I think Ty Harris as a point guard, Tiffany, was really good at picking and choosing her spots, right? She was really good at getting the ball to different people. When Destiny Henderson has the ball, she can fly up the court, but she is smooth and she's in control. Dawn Staley loves that. She's never rattled. She's calm. She's cool. She loves that about her point guard.
And is there this expectation that I think we all probably have around the league, given the fact that, you know, Dawn Staley was an outstanding point guard when she played at the University of Virginia or for Team USA? I mean, isn't that kind of like an expectation? You come to South Carolina and you're playing that point guard position, you know you're going to be groomed for greatness.
We'll pull up some clips of Dawn Staley playing point guard in college and in pro. I mean, she was so much fun to watch as a player, and especially in transition. She gave you a little bit of that flash, a little bit the attitude. I mean, she came and she brought it, you know. And so from her point guard, she kind of brings the same thing, but her demeanor is very steady. And so her teammates along the way are watching her play like that, so they don't ever get rattled. But yeah, it's kind of like you know you're coming in to play for one of the best point guards in their own right, in Dawn Staley. Now as a coach, there's going to be some challenges, and I think Destiny Henderson has definitely risen to the occasion.
Grissett fouled on that attempt. And Lily Grissett, 6'2" senior out of Durham, North Carolina, will go to the strike.
Yeah, they call Lily Grissett the Swiss Army knife for good reason, because she does a little bit of everything. They're always good to have.
Indeed, it's just like, okay, well, what am I going to call up, you know, today? Do you need the little corkscrew? Do you need the little knife, the file?
You never know, but she can do it.
Know. We saw this Alabama team in the first quarter of this one, you know, really control some of the first part of the game. What did they do effectively, and what do they need to continue to do here, Steffi?
I think Jasmine Walker has to be a little bit more aggressive. She sat out towards the end of that first quarter, and now she's back in the game. So more so Jordan Lewis picking it up on the defensive side of the floor, where she was really dribble penetrating into the SEC logo for South Carolina. So those two always really command the defense for opponents. But remember, we saw a player like Megan Abrams and Destiny Rice, other players getting touches, Araya Copeland. So I think it's also those players playing with the same level of confidence.
Walker checking out, Araya Copeland coming in for her, as Aaliyah Boston also back in. Boston, we haven't talked much about her, but that's just how good the South Carolina team is. Aaliyah Boston, the National Freshman of the Year from a season ago. And there's Copeland coming down with the rebound. Will fake the left hand, and it drops. Benjamin with the points. Boston, mid-range won't fall.
Remember how we talked about in the first time that these two teams met? South Carolina really hammered South Carolina really hammered Alabama on the offensive boards. Right now, South Carolina only has 3 offensive rebounds, so you have to really credit Alabama with doing a better job of making sure that they really secure that rebound, only give 1 shot opportunity to South Carolina.
Again, if you're Christy Curry, you have to feel encouraged about what you've seen from your team so far. Only trailing by 3 here. Still plenty of time to go in this first half. Crimson Tide off to a terrific start. 12-3 overall. And amidst the top half of the SEC standings.
That was a good look, too, for Aaliyah Boston. And it's really funny we haven't talked about her, but I know coming into this season there was a lot of talk about Aaliyah Boston and her taking a step from National Freshman of the Year to what was she going to look like her sophomore year. And those first 6 games she kind of struggled a little bit. Everyone was like, whoa, what's going on with Aaliyah Boston? What's happening? She was only averaging about 11 and 9, but the last 8 games she's up to 16 and almost 13 rebounds. She's found her footing, her groove, She's playing tremendously well. And as we've talked about with South Carolina, they just have other players that can get the job done.
Before their 5 starters, averaging double figures. Boston with 14 and 11, so she's averaging a double-double. Henderson with the move. Grissett going in as Boston clears the way for Lily Grissett. And she's had a nice job coming off the bench, adding a boost. Now with 6 points. Copeland deep into the paint,
Yep.
second in the NCAA in field goal percentage, and you see why. Just so efficient around the rim, and it falls.
Zero hesitation from Copeland. Didn't have double-digit scoring last time they played South Carolina. I think she could have been a difference maker, so the challenge was sent from Christy Curry.
Boston working on the inside. Nice move.
Grown woman move.
She has
Grown
many
woman.
of them
It's
throughout
tough.
the season. Yeah.
You know, it's just so tough because she came in as a freshman making those moves, and she just continues to get better and develop all of her game. But there's the Swiss Army.
Grissett missing there on the layup. And so Alabama trying to push it the other way. Jasmine Walker sees a 3. She knocks down the most in SEC play. And how about it? Jasmine Walker nailing it to tie it up at 34 all. Boston with the offensive board. And we here can't hit. Megan Abrams trying to go right at Grissett. Grissett said, no thank you, ma'am. Fast break opportunity. Carolina has numbers, and South Carolina can't convert there off the Zia Cook miss layup.
And we've talked a lot, right, about the South Carolina transition. And Coach Dawn Staley has been frustrated with the fact that they haven't been more efficient in creating more easy baskets. I mean, they're right there, but they're making their shots tougher. They've got to attack with the right angle.
Just missing there, and we'll step aside very quickly. But how about the senior out of Montgomery, Jasmine Walker, top 5 in SEC scoring and rebounds. Oh yeah, the leader in threes. You see why right there. Hey,
Really funny,
just
guys.
like that.
I see that you guys are really taking the job serious in there. My plant is fake. I am not afraid to admit that. Okay, you guys happy? Okay. I'll fill you in, Tiffany, on some things in studio. Those long nights that I've got in there with those two crazy
Oh, yeah.
girls. There was they want me to get a pet. Okay, I don't have a pet. I don't know if you know anything about Andrea Carter, but she has a pet snake. For those at home who are cringing, same. She has a snake. I'm not a fan. I don't want to roll around, and I have the snake right on my. No. And Alyssa has a really cute dog, but we put out a poll what kind of plant I should get, and for me it was either a hedgehog, which was a good suggestion from a fan, or a potted plant. So I went with the potted plant. There you go. You're up to speed.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yes.
that all in just about 20, 30 seconds right there. Steffi, I appreciate the studio crew allowing me to work with you today, partner. So, you know, I know that there is some inside track information that you just allowed me to be privy to along with the rest of America. Stick with the potted plant, homie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why you're my partner.
Got you.
We got a good game here, though. You know,
Oh,
Alabama has certainly made some adjustments coming into this game. I know they were frustrated after that Kentucky loss, and we talked about transition and rebounding, and so far doing a really good job of limiting opportunities for Alabama and being the aggressor on the offensive side of the floor.
I think also important to note there, Christy Curry said, hey, look, we need to find more scoring options, right? We know Jordan Lewis can do it. We know Jasmine Walker, but their Destiny Rice coming off the bench, adding a nice little 7 points already in this ball game. That's what they need if they're going to try to pull off this upset on the road.
The one thing, though, I will say within that matchup zone that Alabama runs is utilizing the baseline as another defender. So South Carolina's done a really good job of attacking baseline. If someone could rotate over help side and use that baseline as another defender, either forcing them out of bounds or having to throw it out, eliminate some of those baseline drives for South Carolina.
Well, Henderson able to give South Carolina the notch here. They can try to extend their lead as a blocking foul called underneath the basket, a collision there between Saxton and Jordan Lewis. Lewis, the 5'6" guard for Alabama, just with that collision right there. Ouch.
Yeah, just and keep in mind Saxton, 6'2" junior, going up against Jordan Lewis, just 5'7". But that shows you just, how tough. And I know that, Tiffany, you have a lot of experience covering Jordan Lewis prior to her coming to Alabama, but she's just got an edge to her. And would you want to speak on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, having the opportunity to cover her throughout her high school career, winning a couple of state championships, and just the toughness and the leadership that you saw her bring to the floor was just absolutely outstanding. She was one of my favorite players to watch and to cover. And, you talk about kind of those wild animals and, Drea Carter having the snake. I kind of liken Jordan Lewis to like that honey badger, right? She's just fearless. She goes out there. She is just tough. She's not afraid of anything or anyone.
I like honey badger. It's a good one.
Yeah. It's
Can
not
you believe
only
she has a
designated
snake?
for Tyrone Matthew. No, I can't.
She has a snake.
Just for our
as a
viewers
pet.
at home, Jordan Lewis doesn't have the snake. Andrea Carter has the snake. Folks, if you're just tuning in, Steffi Sorensen, Tiffany Green here with you. A fun one from Columbia, South Carolina, 4th-ranked Gamecocks. Only a 4-point advantage over Alabama as the Crimson Tide have come on the road. They have executed their game plan. They're hanging tough there and continuing to stay in the game because of big shots like that from Jasmine Walker, knocking down another triple here on the afternoon. She's 2 of 3 from long distance.
Kelly Curry is Christy Curry's husband, as he sits right there on the bench, assistant coach. He's done a really good job spending time with Jasmine Walker, breaking down the analytics of her game, where are her strengths, where are her weaknesses. And over the summer, they spent a lot of time together of really how she could improve her game. And you see she understands, especially when what defenses give her. If she's got a taller player on her, she understands height, speed, recognizes it, when to take the three, when to post up. That's really how she's been such an elite scorer this season.
And able to go from just kind of a shooter to an actual scorer. Started her career at Florida State. And how about Hannah Barber on these last couple of plays, just getting in there the last trip down the floor. She was able to get the rebound, and those hustle plays that everyone appreciates, especially if you're Coach Christy Curry, is she is energizing her group. Look at Hannah Barber
scrappy.
getting in there. Yeah.
She's Honey Badger Jr. We got Honey Badger Sr. with Jordan Lewis, but Honey Badger Jr. is definitely Hannah Barber.
All right, I like the junior, the senior kind of vibe. And actually, Hannah Barber is a junior. And Jordan Lewis,
you see that?
a senior.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, I like it. I'm following you. I'm flowing with you. But when you look at what Jordan Lewis has done, I mean, she jumped out with 9 quick points in this ball game to really set the tone for Bama.
Coming off a game where Coach Curry and Jordan Lewis perhaps didn't perform as well as she could have against Kentucky, which was a really good and big opportunity for them. But coming into this game today, Coach Curry was talking about it's very rare that Jordan Lewis won't play up to par back-to-back games. So right off the bat, she's coming here aggressive, setting the tone for Alabama. A big reason why it's just a one-point game. I mean, she just does it all.
Nice take there from Destiny Rice. Again, just been a great lift off the bench for Bama. They take the lead with just over 30 seconds to go in this first half. And then Rice trying to wrestle away that rebound. She gets tangled up there with Aaliyah Boston. Shot clock turned off. How huge would this be for Alabama to go into the locker room with the lead? Chance to add a little padding to it here. Rice finding Abrams. Abrams, top of the key. That won't go. Through the hands, but still Alabama able to close out this first half with a 1-point lead over the 4th-ranked South Carolina Gamecocks. The battle of the point guards, Destiny Henderson with 11, Jordan Lewis with 9. We'll have more on the other side from the studio. Alabama with the edge over 4th-ranked South Carolina, still at halftime. And look, folks, this would be a huge opportunity for the Crimson Tide to try to come out with a win here. But South Carolina is always in the hunt. Why? Because they have so many weapons. When you look at a player like Destiny Henderson, what she has done in that first half and really all season long is just be silky smooth.
Well, she was absolutely sensational in the first half. 2 for 2 from the three-point line, 4 of 7 from the floor. Fantastic speed in transition. You talked about silky smooth. How about the easy finish? And let's check out the report card for South Carolina today. Transition and rebounding was their bread and butter in the first time that they met. Only 8 points. I think they left a lot on the table in the first half. I think that will be addressed at the halftime with Dawn Staley. And also rebounding. Just 5 offensive rebounding. And Alabama, you know, they're shooting 50% from the floor, and other players, Tiffany, are involved, which has been the difference.
It's been huge. You see the 4 players with 7 or more points, Jordan Lewis and Destiny Rice, both tied for a team-high 9 points. And because of the way they've played, they have gotten this 1-point lead. And South Carolina trailed at the half for the first time since that game against LSU. And, of course, we saw them really kind of grind it out against the Tigers back on January 24th. They were able to notch a victory. But that's what's so dangerous about South Carolina, is that they can just win in a number of different ways. Leah Boston, who was pretty quiet in that first half, only 4 points, and comes out and finishes with the left.
And that's just tough. I mean, Leah Boston was 1 for 7 from the floor, so I had a feeling Dawn Staley was wanting to get her the ball involved early here in the third quarter.
And now she's D'ing up Araya Copeland. Copeland going right at Boston, but just so tough to go against that 6'5" frame from the sophomore.
So we talked about offensive rebounding, and the last time that South Carolina played Alabama, they had 26 off of rebounds, 5 today. Big reason why that backside rebounder, Destiny Rice, here comes up with the defensive rebounding, which has been absolutely crucial in eliminating all the offensive rebounding for South Carolina.
That's an area where they lead one of the top 5 teams in the country in offensive rebounds. But here today, Alabama, their game plan has worked thus far, being able to limit those opportunities and keep pace with them on the boards. That one poked away by Saxton, goes right back into the hands of the Crimson Tide. Jordan Lewis working with 6 on the shot clock. Barber pulls up from the baseline, won't fall. Bree Beal with the rebound. Beal with 5 points, make it 7 now. Bree Beal, who has been relatively quiet but always an excellent defender. You saw her getting active with those hands, and Bree Beal put South Carolina up by a triple.
South Carolina, one of the most dangerous transition teams in the country, and it's not just because they have elite point guard play, but any guard can take the ball full court length and score. And here, Bree Beal, Jordan Lewis, 3 unread. She does not stop ball, and if you don't stop ball, somebody is going to get all the way to the rim. It could be Destiny Henderson, Zia Cook, and even there on that play, Bree Beal, who's very quick off the bounce. But again, Alabama did a really good job of getting back. Christy Curry sending 3 or 4 players back to stop the transition scoring. But if you don't stop the ball, that's the first line of defense and ultimately slowing South Carolina down.
Yeah, Bree Beal, the big physical guard, got stronger in the offseason, and you see just all of this guard play for Don Staley's crew. It's a little bit of do it all, but we've seen Beal really make a turn in her sophomore season, one of the best. And over the last 5 games in SEC play, she's averaged 13 points. Remember that career high 22-point performance against Arkansas in that South Carolina win back on January 18th. Copeland trying to go around Saxton. Okay, Araya Copeland showing off some post moves. And I'll tell you this, Araya Copeland goes, well rather Bama goes as Araya Copeland goes, because in their SEC wins she has averaged her season average of 14 points. And she's not hitting that mark or half of that mark in SEC play. She's seen her team drop 3 games.
Really solid footwork. Alabama making a concerted effort to get the ball inside to Araya Copeland. Saxton tries to hold her ground, but Copeland has good footwork. She's got good length.
On the inbound, Cook drains it. Zia Cook, team leader in threes, only hit 4, make it 5 now in SEC play. Back the other way, and the answer from Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis saying, I'm stepping up to the plate and I'll answer the challenge.
Somewhere Debbie Antonelli is smiling because of all the offense. She's loving it. I know it. Somewhere she's going to see this and she's going to smile.
Cook on the take. That's just how dangerous she is, how good she is. She can beat you from the outside, knock down those threes, but also can drive it right to the hoop for the layup. Lewis just tried to force it inside to Copeland. Just too many white jerseys around. Back the other way again, and it's Zia Cook once more. I'll tell you, the South Carolina team loves to get out and run.
Yeah, and Zia Cook is such a stud offensively, and because she's so athletic, so versatile, especially in the open court.
Saxton chasing that one down. Beal kicks it over, and a blocking foul called against Alabama. I tell you, Zia Cook was ready and waiting in the corner, but 3 of 3 on their last attempts from the field. And Zia Cook, big reason there. She is able to do it all. She says, I could get out, but you got to catch me on the inside. Leaving it up at the rim.
She scored their last 7 points, and Don Staley has had to sit her down a little bit, watch some more film, because I think the difference in being a freshman is that you're quicker than everyone, so you can always get to the basket pretty easily because no one's fast enough to stop you. And so then when you come to college, you know, players are quicker, and then now as a sophomore, players are scheming and scouting her. So she was just going too far away from the basket. She wasn't taking direct line attacks, and so that's something Don Staley has really tried to work with Zia Cook on, in terms of when she attacks the basket, take the right angle, don't make it harder for yourself. And so that's a big reason why I think her game is getting better the past few games, is she's been really breaking down the film, seeing hey, if I just take one dribble this way, I'm headed right to the basket instead of the defense rotating over and I'm taking 2 extra dribbles. And we've talked a lot about other players, Tiff, games we've called, just watching the tape and seeing I'm making it harder on myself. And that's part of studying the game. And Zia Cooke has done a really good job of trying to fix some things.
You know, Dawn Staley kind of expounded on the fact that, you know, the idea of kind of showing your hand too soon, you got to know when to hold them. And in this instance, you know, just trying to know what to show and what to hold, because the scouting report is out. And everyone's got an opportunity to look at Zia Cooke and really this fantastic freshman class from 2019. And so now another season in, you're going to get the team's best shots. You're going to get everybody's best shots. An 8-0 run for South Carolina to stretch the lead out to 9. Destiny Reyes, who has had herself a nice game off the bench, steps on the inline and hands it right back over to the Gamecocks. 5-minute mark of the third quarter. South Carolina out to their largest lead of the game. Zia Cooke starting to get it going here in this third quarter. She's been heating up.
Yeah, Zia Cooke, 11 points so far today, and her numbers being called right now. She's delivering, and she's starting to find her groove. As we mentioned, a little bit of a slump previously in the SEC as they got started, but her last 3 games, she's hit double figures scoring, and 19 against Mississippi State, their last game. And last time they played Alabama, she had 18. So it's just a good sign for Zia Cooke, who, you know, it happens. And it's funny that we're talking about her having a slump and it was 3 games, and she basically had like 8 or 9 points. You know, overall, but Dawn Staley wanted her to find ways to still affect the game if she's not scoring it. And keep in mind, she's part of that #1 recruiting class where everybody's used to coming in and scoring 25. That's how we evaluate you. Do you score 25? And it's different on a team where each night somebody needs something different. Zia Cooke today, what time of day it is, I don't know, but she just hit a 3.
She says, look, I do this all day, every day. I don't know what else to say. 10 points in the quarter for Zia Cooke. Lewis on the take, finishing at the rim, and still a double-digit lead for South Carolina. But Saxton right there, putting it back out to a dozen. Well, South Carolina has won every meeting against Alabama since Dawn Staley has been the head coach. That's the last 17 if you're keeping record at home. And right now, we're watching Alabama see their opportunity kind of slip away a little bit. They've got to find a way to remain in this ball game. They had a great collective effort in that first half. They called on a lot of different numbers. You're kind of in a danger zone here as things are starting to pick up for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I think it's definitely Jasmine Walker time. Jordan Lewis, she can always seem to find a bucket just because of her ability to dribble penetrate, but Jasmine Walker can do so many different things. And also Raya Copeland, I mean, those two together, inside out. Look how quick. Tiffany, I can't even tell you how fast South Carolina turns and makes teams defend them in the transition. But give Alabama credit because they're getting back. Again, it's stopping the ball, which has been an issue for them. But Hannah Barber taking charges hasn't been an issue for her. She's done a great job of just hustling and making those plays to get Alabama the ball back.
Well, Steffi, is there something that South Carolina has done against Jasmine Walker? I mean, obviously, she's gotten points on the board, right? Like 8, and she has the opportunity to put some more here. as she goes to the free throw line. But is there anything that you've seen them do specifically against Jasmine Walker?
No, I think, South Carolina will throw different people at her. It might be Bree Beal. It was Saxton at one point, so it might be a guard. It might be a post player. Sometimes for me, it might be just Jasmine Walker needs to go get the ball. And, obviously the ball is in the hands of Jordan Lewis the most. She's the point guard, so she's setting up her other teammates. But for me, sometimes it's with Jasmine Walker is go get the ball and then make a play. And instead of kind of waiting around, maybe coming off a screen, I think she can assert herself here with that 10-point lead because she's more than capable. But she did on that last possession. Obviously, they got her the ball. They were intentional about it. She got to the free throw line.
Remember, she's coming off that 27-point performance in the losing effort against Kentucky. Knocked down 5 threes, so they need some more of that here against South Carolina today. Feel like this Alabama group who has just grown and gained confidence over the last season. We saw them finish off with an 8-8 record in SEC play a season ago. Looked like they were poised to perhaps make a trip to the NCAA tournament. You said it's been a 20-plus year drought, and so this year they're looking to build on that. They're just always kind of right there knocking on the door. Christy Curry said, look, let's not focus on Kentucky. Let's not be frustrated with that, but fascinated with the opportunity, as she said, and I love how she phrased it.
Yeah.
To take on this challenge against South Carolina.
Kentucky, coming into that game, Kentucky had just lost pretty bad to Tennessee, and then they faced Alabama. And so they caught them at a time when they were playing pretty angry. And then when they lost to Tennessee, which was a bad loss for Alabama, Tennessee had just lost, I think, to Georgia. So she kind of was talking about when they were catching teams. It's not an excuse, it's just kind of a reality. And so that's why this game was interesting, because they're coming off a frustrating loss, and they're ready to avenge it against South Carolina. And they've really put together 2 solid quarters. Right now, it's starting to slip away just a little bit with 12-point lead with South Carolina.
And if you think they're closing out the month of January, seeing South Carolina for the second time this season, you talk about just the run of competition that you're going to see in SEC play. Doesn't get much easier. They beat Mississippi State already once this season. Big upset win for them, but they'll once more face off against them next month. We got Georgia coming up next, Texas A&M, Arkansas. These are all teams that are ranked at the AP Top 25. Boston off the mark. With Jordan Lewis right there. Lewis now with 16 points to lead the way for the Crimson Tide. Still within 10, so they're trying not to let it slip away too much, but you've got to find someone to get over to Zia Cook. Can't leave her wide open like that. Normally she's able to knock him down. Few substitutions being made on the court. 44.1 to go in this third quarter. 62-52. South Carolina with the lead on the inbound. The Gamecocks. See a whistle. It goes against South Carolina, and Grissett is whistled for the personal foul. Chance for Alabama to cut the lead to single digits. Lewis with the ball in her hands finds her own rebound and puts it right back in.
So tough.
Cook the ball fake, kisses it off glass. That's just tough to defend. Third
South
quarter.
Carolina really pulled away here, Tiffany. Outscored Alabama 24-13 there in that third quarter, led in large part by Zia Cook, 16 points, 7 of 12 from the floor today.
Meanwhile, we're moving to the fourth quarter here between Alabama and South Carolina. Well, I tell you this, we saw South Carolina pull away in that third quarter, and really you can attribute a lot of the success there closing out ball games to Molly Benetti, the strength and conditioning coach, the sports performance coach, as she's called at South Carolina, just because of the work that she's put in with this team, and they've seen just great success under her. What's kind of like a strength and conditioning program, Steffi? What's that like? Because I know you're into fitness. Like
hey, well, it's obviously working. And, you know, when you talk to Dawn Staley about, you know, some of their fourth quarters and closing out games, I said, what do you attribute that to? And she said, Molly Benetti. I mean, she went to work with these student athletes in the offseason and then to keep them fresh during season, and the difference in their conditioning and being able to close out games and nutrition, hydration, all those things we talked about, honestly, with Hannah Barber, is what has really elevated South Carolina in terms of their speed and transition and coaching them individually, what everybody needs. And if you want to talk about strength and power, I mean, they've got it listed in some of their notes that 8 of the 11 Gamecocks can back squat over 225. Tiff, I don't know about you, but that's crazy, you know?
Right.
And all of them can bench 135. That's my goal in life, is to bench my weight. So the fact that their whole team can do that, pretty impressive. So we don't probably talk about strength coaches enough, but a team that is physically gifted needs direction and needs a program, a solid program, and how to maximize performance. And as Dawn Staley said, Molly Benetti has done a fantastic job of just getting this team ready to go and perform at a tremendously high level. I mean, they just have a different gear, and especially in the fourth quarter.
Can I also just note that I'm jelly that you're 135? Okay, sorry.
Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I used to be 135, but it's when you get to put the 45s on the bar. You know, it's like, hey, everybody, check me out. Instead of the little donuts, get the big donut on the side.
We'll see how they close out this fourth quarter in this ball game against Alabama, taking the lead to start this period, and knocking it down from the corner is Destiny Henderson. Henderson, who's had herself a very good afternoon. 17 points. 14 points for Henderson in this ball game. Copeland with a couple of looks at the basket. She won't see it fall. I want to go back to something you said in conjunction with the performance of the strength and conditioning and being able to have that. You talked about those 430 win seasons in the last 6 seasons. That's another big part of why, right? You talk about all facets of the game, the winning culture, being able to have, you know, strength and conditioning, nutrition, the athletic trainer, all kind of being in harmony, getting the right players in. These are all components of building a successful program, with which we've seen Dawn Staley do in 13 seasons in Columbia.
Yeah, it certainly takes a village, because it's athletic trainers, it's nutritionists, strength and performance coaches, the players buying in. You know, it's easy when you're coming in as a #1 recruiting class. Everybody has crowned you. You're one of the best players, yada, yada. And then you come into college and it's everybody is fast, everybody is strong, but how do we become faster and how do we become stronger than our opponents? And that's where the buy-in really takes place. And for some players, it just takes them a little bit of time to really commit to it. But when you do, the improvements are obvious. And we talked a lot about, for Alabama, Jasmine Walker. Her improvements are very obvious, the buy-in. Somebody that I've noticed this season has been Chelsea Dungy for Arkansas. Her buy-in in the offseason was tremendous. And there's a big reason why she dropped over 30 against UConn and upset them the other night.
Chelsea Dungy, who's leading the league in scoring, and that's an Arkansas team who's coming off a huge win against UConn. Big upset there. Dungy had 37 points in the win Thursday night. And I think just around women's college basketball earlier this week,
crazy.
I mean, we saw all kinds of top teams going down. How about NC State falling to Virginia Tech in OT? That was the biggest win for that Virginia Tech squad in program history. Aisha Shepard was going off, especially in the extra period. And Steffi, when you look at those most improved players, you talked about Dungy, Jasmine Walker. We've seen Destiny Henderson. She was hot in that first half.
Ray Burrell for Tennessee, I don't know if they'd be in the same boat that they're in now if it wasn't for Ray Burrell. Her numbers statistically have gone up across the board, minutes, points, efficiency. She defends as well. And Kiki Smith for Florida. I know Florida's struggling a little bit in terms of wins and losses, but there's no doubt that Kiki Smith is one of the most improved players in the SEC this year.
Fearless take there from Megan Abrams. Abrams, the junior out of Lafayette, Louisiana. And on the other end, falls hard to the floor in a collision with Ami here. And she's being helped up by teammates after she's whistled for the foul.
Yeah, that's tough fall for Megan Abrams. And Alabama doesn't have a lot of players. I mean, they don't have a deep bench. Ooh. She's okay, though, and get a break. But kind of want to go back to where we were talking about the buy-in in terms of nutrition and strength and conditioning. It's a lot easier to go with your friends to the nearest, I don't know, fast food place or what's easy and convenient. But to go the extra distance and pick a different meal that might not be more convenient and easier, but you know is better for you, that's a commitment. Mm-hmm. And these are 18, 19, 20-year-old college kids that we're talking about, but it's a sacrifice and one that, if you can get your whole team to buy in, is pretty special.
Well, you hear so much just about the mental aspect of games and having yourself and your mind focused and ready and the toughness, but you have to complement that with the physical preparation as well.
I don't think Jordan Lewis has come out of this game today, Tiffany. It kind of goes back to what you were talking about covering her in high school. Playing point guard is tough as it is because you got to bring the ball up the full court and then run the offense and then score and then make sure everyone else is getting the love and touching the ball and I'm defending. And she just does it with, I wouldn't say ease, but you'd never know that she's tired. I'm sure she is.
Right.
But that's the toughness that she brings.
It's fun, Steffi, that we have the opportunity to talk about all of these players and student athletes, and what I like so much about Jordan Lewis and so many of these young women is the fact that they're excellent student athletes, right? So talk about the commitment that you have to have on the basketball court, the commitment that you have to eating the right things and taking care of your body, but you also have to take care of business in the classroom. Lewis, one of the graduates, working on her MBA, finishing up in May. She, along with Megan Abrams, we were talking to Coach Curry about the majors of some of these student athletes, and
how about double majoring in
better.
finance and economics? I got through one economics class in college. That was enough for me.
Yeah. Much smarter than I.
I was like, Coach, what does she want to do? Because that's a heck of a major, a double major.
The beauty is these young women can do anything. And I think we saw Asia Wilson be a great example of that, a hometown kid who decided to help turn around a program with Dawn Staley, stayed in state and helped to win a national championship. She has a statue erected outside. She's the reigning WNBA MVP.
I always loved the relationship that her and Dawn Staley had together, Asia and Dawn. It was just so special and so fun, and they still obviously have that bond.
We'll step aside with 4:54 remaining in this ball game. South Carolina up by 13. Well, thanks so much. Coming your way next, Texas A&M and Georgia. Steffi, I know we will go right to our devices after our game is over to see that one. Aggies 15-1 on the season. India Jones, as they mentioned, just a baller.
Named to the prestigious John Wooden midseason top 25. One of the best rebounders in the country. Let me give you a little off the court on India Jones. How about she graduated with a music degree from Texas A&M in just 3 years. She's in law school right now pursuing her second degree. She plays the piano, flute, and drums. She wants to play in the WNBA, but she also wants to own her record label. So we got a talented young lady on our hands in India Jones. I find her to be a fascinating person on and off the court, but a joy to watch.
The SEC is full of wonderful young women. I like those nuggets of information, something that everybody may not know beyond just the numbers, Steffi.
Well,
been doing your homework, girl.
Well, you know, Gary Blair has talked about India Jones, and he said she's going to be successful with whatever she does. She's gone out to LA. She's, involved with music, obviously being a big part of her life. And there's YouTube videos of her singing, and I'm not going to lie, it's a vibe, Tiff. You got to check it out. I'm going to send it to you after this game. She can do it all.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I mean, kind of who does she give you a flavor of? Who does she kind of remind you of in her artistry?
It's a good question.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
She's kind of got her own thing, honestly. It was just smooth, easy going. A little R&B flavor.
She might hit that neo soul category. I like it. 75-60. South Carolina with the lead. Tiffany Green, Steffi Sorensen here with you. Largest lead of the game for the Gamecocks. We saw South Carolina just really pull away in that third quarter, outscoring them 24-13. Zia Cook was a big reason for that, and at the line here is Destiny Littleton. Just a reminder that Wednesday night here on the SEC Network, the ESPN app, you can see our basketball doubleheader, South Carolina and Florida at 6:30, followed up by Vanderbilt and Texas A&M at 8:30 right here on the SEC Network. Texas A&M with 4 players in double figures on Saturday and that big SEC Big 12 Challenge win over Kansas State.
South Carolina really has the advantage of going to their bench, and Dawn Staley did a nice job of that in the first half, just kind of resting players. And here in the fourth quarter, and Christy Curry would like to be able to, but when you've got players like Jordan Lewis and Jasmine Walker, you just can't keep them on the bench that long. You need them out there for their production.
You look at the South Carolina team, and every time that you've gotten a chance to watch them, this is our first time this season calling them, are there any areas of deficiency with this group?
I do think that they can get to the free throw line and be more efficient from the free throw line. There are some missed opportunities in transition where, as Dawn Staley was talking about, it was just making sure if we've got numbers, we're putting the ball in the right people's hands for them to be successful. Defensively, look, they're holding Alabama to 62 points right now, shooting 40% from the floor. I think they defend well. I mean, a great example of that, Tiffany, was really that Arkansas game. God, they held Arkansas to just 13 three-point attempts. Arkansas hit 13 threes against UConn. They made, or against South Carolina, they only took 13. And they really just did a good job of just funneling everybody out of the paint, trying to let them make two. So I think defensively, South Carolina is really tough. So it's just for Dawn Staley is managing everybody's health, keeping everybody good to go, being unselfish. I think that Louisville in the ACC, obviously they're undefeated right now. We'll find more about them. I think they play NC State tomorrow, which will be a really good game. But I think South Carolina is playing the best out of anybody. They're in their stride right now. There were some questions coming into league play after that NC State loss. There was, okay, is this the same team? Are they just as good? But they've definitely settled into their roles.
That NC State loss back on December 3rd, the only for South Carolina, and really the team to beat when you look at Charlie Cream and just his bracketology, a number 1 seed projected. Of course, it's still early. We've got a whole month of basketball to play in the regular season before you head to the SEC tournament in March. But more importantly, you think about South Carolina, number 1 seed at the top, but Alabama, just as big a deal for them to be able to potentially make it to the NCAA tournament, currently right now an 8 seed according to Charlie Cream.
Yeah, I've spoken to Charlie Cream about Alabama. Usually Bama has always been on the bubble, and he seems to think that right now they're pretty safe, just given the fact that they don't have any bad losses. Like, this isn't going to be a bad loss for them. They're playing the number 4 ranked team in the country, and they played them pretty tight. But so they're in a good position, and Charlie Cream has his eye on LSU in the SEC. We saw them upset Georgia on Thursday. So his question is, can the Southeastern Conference get 9 teams in this season? But Christy Curry, when we were talking about NCAA tournament and they haven't done it in 2 decades and the players want to do something special, they do have their eyes on the SEC tournament first and doing something there and turning some heads, surprising some people, and being successful there.
Well, when you look at the losses for Alabama this season, they've been against ranked opponents, right? We talked about the loss earlier this month to South Carolina, then Tennessee, and most recently Kentucky. So they want to try to make some noise in that SEC tournament coming up in March. I think it's going to be fun.
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be fun because I think everyone's just going to kind of look forward to moving to a postseason and an NCAA tournament given what happened last year.
It reminds me of what Christy Curry was saying just about her team, and I was like, do you guys talk about the postseason or how do you approach each game? And she said, I think we're just so grateful for each opportunity to practice, to be able to learn with each other. There's a lot of grit and gratitude coming from Christy Curry and her staff and her team, and they certainly embody that when they take the floor. I know you've loved her positivity when we were on the Zoom call with her. I love her approach and the way that she talks about her team and their attitude and their toughness.
Yeah, because it's like you're not taking anything for granted, right? And again, when positivity, permeates from your head coach, it can't help but to spread out and others kind of get on board with it as well. But she's also had the opportunity to see what it means for, some players to kind of develop in her program. The trio that she has have really found a way to take ownership. So they're extensions of her on the basketball court. And it's exciting to see, Alabama perhaps really turn the corner and push further, especially with the 3 seniors. Timeout on the floor with just over 2 minutes to go, and South Carolina with a commanding lead now. Well, tonight at 7 Eastern on the SEC Network, we'll have our latest episode of True South with John T. Edge traveling around Phoenix City, Alabama, eating half Winnie's at the 14th Street Grill and checking out fried chicken at Rose's Caribbean in Columbus, Georgia. He'll also explore Fort Benning Army Base. We'll see you there. True South is presented by Yellowwood. Hadn't got a chance to check out the show, Steffi, but I'll tell you this: when we had the opportunity to travel to different SEC cities, what were among your favorite?
Like destinations or places?
Yep, destinations.
Or?
What cities? What cities were like the best SEC cities to eat in?
Athens to me is beautiful. What do you think? Like Athens?
I'm going to go with Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Baton Rouge for me.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I can't do spicy.
Neither can I. But
No?
but I enjoy the seafood.
Okay.
I enjoy
yeah.
the stews and the gumbos. Alabama's got some good barbecue.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There's some good brunch places in Oxford. I'm hungry now. Thanks, Tiff. Can't forget Texas A&M. There's good barbecue there too.
That's true. Well, perhaps if you're watching at home, you could just, grab you a plate of, some pulled pork or some spare ribs, baked beans, and kick back and get ready for Georgia Texas A&M coming up right after us.
Something tells me Alyssa Lang in studio is like yelling at me of all the things and places that I've missed in the SEC for food because she's such a foodie. I know I'm gonna hear about it, but she'll have some good suggestions.
Oh, the Blue Marlin in Columbia, also pretty solid on the seafood tip. Harbor launching it from 3. So South Carolina will remain perfect in SEC play with a win.
I just
here
heard from
today.
Coach Peck. She said, Nashville, what are you thinking? You forgot about Nashville. So,
Ooh.
Coach Peck, you're right. You're right. It's on the spot.
Right. Ooh. I'm ashamed that we forgot. Because that's just a great SEC city to visit, period. Letitia Amee here with the score. The South Carolina team We talked about the success that they have seen under their head coach, Dawn Staley. Won all 17 meetings. Will make it 18 at the end of this one, coaching USA Women's National Team mini camp this week in South Carolina. So busy. Littleton, the step back. Well, Alabama threw everything they could at them in that first half. And got off to a great start, led by one going into the locker room, but a big third quarter powered by Zia Cook was the difference in this ball game.
South Carolina is just able to really put forth these dominating runs and just wipes teams out. And the way that they're able to close out games. Right now, South Carolina outscored Alabama 47-22 in that second half. And we've talked about strength and conditioning, the talent, the experience, the coachability. I mean, South Carolina has it all in a dominating second half for them to close this out on the or at home against Alabama.
And that's a program record for Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks. 25 straight SEC regular season wins. That's the longest streak in program history. She had on her shirt all day that winning is an attitude, and that is certainly the case in Columbia with an 86.